Hello, folks. Welcome to another edition of Social Media News Live. I am so excited to have you here. I'm excited about our guest today. I've been wanting to have him on for a while. He's one of those guys I have stalked since the beginning of the interwebs, probably because he is the guy when it comes to audio. He actually did the opener back when I did mainly Pinterest tips. He was the guy who helped me with getting that all set up. And we've got the amazing Gary Stockton already in the house. He says, happy Friday, Wizards and Warlocks from Huntington Beach. Yes, we're talking about AI Wizardry today. And our friend Chris Stone saying, hello, you beautiful streaming Olympians of planet Earth. He's changed it up for the Olympic week. That's great. Thank you, Chris, for being here. Connor Brown, how are you doing today, my friend?
I'm doing great. We had a fun conversation right before we pressed go, talking about run walking at the Olympics as a sport. And Chris is bringing up the Olympics. I want to know, for everyone listening, what's the one sport, if you could gold medal in at the Olympics, you would want to gold medal in? I think I got a ping pong. I feel like that's just
Those
incredible.
guys are rock stars. They really
Unreal.
are.
Unreal.
Yeah. What about you, Mike? What would you want to medal in?
Yeah, what would I gold medal in? That's a really good opening question. I did like the run walking, the race walk.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
incredible. The technicality where you have to keep your knee straight for a certain period of time and they have marshals watching your every move. I think that might be a bit too much for me. I think it might be something like, I don't know, anything that's a long run where I don't have to exert in the first bit. If I can pace it out over time, I always like watching the swims where they're long swims, and you see that they take it easier than those swims that are like 50 meters, and it's like bam, 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 done.
Yeah,
you know,
they're crazy. And we have Megan Power saying good morning, waving to us, and then she says gymnastics would be hers. That's a trip. And then Chris Stone says breakdancing. I would break something if I tried breakdancing. Exactly. So I'll see. We got some other people chiming in. Jim Fuse saying good morning, gentlemen, and Tech Troublemaker saying good morning, everyone. Well, this is going to be a fabulous show. I'm going to go ahead and hit go on the podcast machine, and we will get started. Are you ready, Mr. Connor Brown?
Let's do it.
All right. Hello, folks. Welcome to Social Media News Live. I'm Jeff C., and you're not.
And I'm Connor Brown, and this is the show that keeps you up to date on what's happening in the world of social media and more.
Have you ever found yourself wondering how AI can take your content creation to the next level? Are you curious about the ways AI can streamline your creative process and boost your productivity? Or maybe you're looking to harness the power of AI to grow your YouTube channel and reach a wider audience? If those questions resonate with you, well, then you're in for a treat today. We're excited to welcome a guest who has mastered the art of blending AI with creativity. He's been using AI to elevate content and grow his online presence. Mike Russell will be unveiling his experiences, his wisdom, and his best strategies for leveraging AI in your creative endeavors. So sit back, clear your schedule, clear your mind, and get ready for this week's episode of Social Media News Live. Mike, how are you doing today, my friend?
Hey, Jeff, man, I'm really cool, and it's actually an honor to be here. You're such a gracious and amazing and energetic host. So to be with yourself and Connor, I know this is going to be incredible.
Awesome.
Awesome. And we're so excited to have Mike. But if you don't know who Mike is, you should. Mike Russell has over 25 years of experience in radio, podcasting, and audio and video production. And Mike works with some top audio brands like Bayer Dynamics, Mackie, Adobe, and more. He's also an AI educator and the founder of Creator Magic, where he blends AI with creativity. As creative director at Music Radio Creative, Mike collaborates with a team that assists clients with their audio needs worldwide. We're so excited to talk creativity, AI, so much stuff. So thanks again, Mike, for being here.
Thank you.
This is we're talking about creativity, but I have to give a shout out to our show sponsors who help me be creative. It's our friends over at Ecamm. You can find out more about them by going over to ecamm.com/Jeff. If you use my code Jeff15, you can save 15% on your first purchase. And by the way, Creator Camp is coming up. I know they're sold out. There's no more tickets, but you still have a chance. You can go to jeffc.com/win and enter to win a ticket to Ecamm's Creator Camp. Once again, that's jeffc.com/win. That's coming up in September. Connor and I are going to be there, and it's going to be a heck of a lot of fun. It was amazing last year. All right, so what were we going to say, Connor?
It's October, not September. Because
What
if it's September, then I have to change everything.
Sorry, it is in. Yes, you're right. I have so many. September is momentum. October is Ecamm. So many things. All right, so we're gonna jump right into this because I've got so many questions for Mike, and we mentioned in the intro that he's got this amazing new YouTube channel called Creator Magic. As soon as this show's over, you guys need to go over there, hit subscribe, because he is giving great advice for creators on how to use AI in their business and in their workflows. So it's amazing. He also has a podcast about that. It's right there. There's another link to his other channel that's the podcast. So you need to sign up for both of those because it's really, really good. All right. Mike, I want to ask you really, really quickly, you started this new YouTube channel, Creator Magic. How has AI influenced that growth of that YouTube channel? Because I think it's really fascinating. One, the way you're doing it, using thumbnails on it. But how are some of the ideations that you're doing to come up with video ideas?
Yeah, it's a great opening question, Jeff. And AI, in answer to your question, has helped me every step of the way with this new channel. So as you mentioned, I'm a bit of an old school YouTuber. I don't like the word old, actually. Young and experienced YouTuber. I don't know. Anyway, I've been at it since 2010, which is insane to think about. That's when I uploaded my first video. So I can't put it all down to AI. I can't say, well, it was all AI. I've got a new channel and AI has made it explode. There's been a lot of things that have contributed to that. First and foremost, it's just knowing YouTube, knowing how to put together a good video. So I'd say to any creator listening to or watching this show right now, if you're wondering if there's like a magic secret to how to make a big YouTube channel, just keep making stuff and keep learning, because it's you learning as a human being and picking up these tips that will really help. With that said, when I went to create this new channel at the start of this year, I sat down and I had AI by my side all the way through. And where AI really helped me was to fill in my information gaps and my knowledge gaps that I didn't have. So I was determined to start a new channel about AI and help content creators learn these tools. And obviously, as you've mentioned earlier, my speciality is audio. So in terms of doing the audio, that was absolutely fine. You've also mentioned thumbnails. So I now have a specific process in place where I'll generate images, and we can talk in more detail about this later if you like. And then I'll do a face swap. I'll put me onto the thumbnail. I'll put some text, just a couple of words on the thumbnail. I'll come up with a catchy title. And that will really help me get a good visual brand. I also helped with AI in the early stages where I actually created the logo 100% with AI. I know we were talking about that before we hit go on this show, how you can sort of ideate through logos with different AI tools. So I did that, created the brand. I had in mind that I want a kind of magical, wizardy kind of theme to it. So hence Creator Magic and the thumbnails of me dressed up as a wizard and magic tools and things like that. So I guess it's mixing or blending what it is to be human, with AI. Come in with some great ideas and direct AI, because at the moment, as we all know, it's not doing our jobs for us as creators. It's assisting us. It's a brilliant assistant. It can make us better. Sometimes it can give us the wrong advice, which is why at the moment I think it's good to seek an expert if you're not sure about something. But that's just a brief touch on how it maybe has helped me so far.
Yeah, and so real quick, Connor, before your question, I want so George says that he went over already and subscribed to Mike's YouTube channel. Way to go. Everyone should do that. And Gary says he's the man for audio tips, George. So just to let you know. And he said, and Gary's a big fan of your Live Friday show that you used to do on Fridays where you would do free jingles. I remember those. Those were amazing. Yes.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. So, so you got your fan club here, but I just wanted to say that, using the AI and your creativity together is what we're going to really dive in the second segment today. So, Connor, go ahead with your question. Yeah.
Well, I first love, I love Chris. Chris stole my joke. I was going to say, you're not an old school YouTuber. You're a classic YouTuber.
That's right. That's right.
I like that.
Classic or vintage, better than old. So I love the idea, but going back to what you said, I think is really important. It's creating a lot of stuff and just seeing what sticks. So just create, and learn and learn and learn, especially when you're on YouTube. And it always comes back to the thing of it has to be good content. AI is not going to take a awful video and make it incredible and everyone's going to see it. You have to come with your personality. You have to come with your story. And if it's something that you're teaching someone how to do something, they have to get something out of the video for it to be a success. But AI helps in every step of the way. So can you get a little more specific about when you're creating a video for YouTube, the actual like AI tools that you can't live without now? So some AI tools and technologies that have been really impactful in optimizing this new YouTube channel that you've started.
Yeah, well, certainly the main tool that I'm using, once I've gone through the ideas, so first of all, I'll curate a list from different sources on the internet of new and exciting tools this week. Okay, let's start with that. How do I curate what I'm going to talk about? So I will go to X, and I'll use, I'm a signed up member of X, so I'll use Grok, and I'll say to Grok, because Grok is very of the moment, I'll say to it, tell me, what's new in terms of AI tools this week. Sometimes I'll say specifically AI tools that creators can use, and it will summarize. It's absolutely brilliant. I'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I'll be like, brilliant. Okay, I know about that one, don't know about that one, need to check it out. And it also references, so it will source I want to call them tweets, but X posts now. It will source the X posts where it got the info from. So I'll check out those posts, and usually that will send me down a rabbit hole. You've got to like doing what you do on YouTube as well. I should add that. So if I didn't like looking at AI tools, I'd find this incredibly boring. But I am just a tech nerd. I love technology. I love new things. So I'd kind of be doing this anyway. But now it's just I get to curate it and talk about it. So X is where I'll start with Grok. That really helps me. I'll also use a website I'm sure many of you will know called Product Hunt. And I will just scour and see what's been peaking up and what's new this week. All the new announcements tend to come there. And then if I get really stuck as to like what to do or how to place things, sometimes it's obvious to me. There's a new tool and I'm like, well, everyone will want to know about that. And I'll do it and I'll put that first. But sometimes it's a little harder. So I'll create a list from everything I've researched and then I'll put it into, say, ChatGPT. And I'll say, I want you to go through one by one and tell me, what your thoughts are on this tool, how it might be useful to creators, and give it a rating out of 10 as to how valuable it would be. And I will preface this by saying it doesn't always nail it, and don't trust it because it might hallucinate or say incorrect information, but at least it can give me a guideline. I can see, oh, look, these are 9s and this one is a 10. And yeah, I can see why it would do that. So it helps me, rather than scouring through a list of 100 tools, to quickly determine, right, these are the main tools I should be looking at this week. Then I will go ahead and record a video. So once I've got everything curated and listed, and I use my Elgato prompter, which is why I'm looking directly at you as I talk to you. Sorry, going out of focus at the same time. But so that's really handy. And I'll throw up bullet points on the Elgato prompter. So never put a full script there because it's really mechanical if I read a word and I'm looking at the screen like that. It's I'll just bullet points on each tool that I want to get across, and then really, Jeff and Connor, I just have fun. I literally, the way I record my videos now for this weekly roundup, which is, I would say, that's the thing that's growing my channel fastest at the moment, is that weekly cornerstone content that everyone has now come to expect. I will load up, I actually use OBS to record. It's perfectly sufficient for my needs. And I record my cameras and my screen share. I hit start recording and then I forget I'm recording and I just mess about with AI tools. Usually takes me about an hour and a half to do that. Because of all the, the production, and things break and things don't work. In fact, I could probably make a compilation of the AI tools you must miss this week. It's all the rubbish I've been through. So that's the often, and I know as YouTubers and creators, you'll understand that. Often we have to sift through the rubbish to get to the good stuff. And that's kind of, at the moment, until AI can do a better job, that's kind of our job. We're all curating or helping people understand something, and they come to us because we help them to find the best of that thing. So, yeah.
Yeah, so one of the things that I've never heard before, I've never had anybody on the show talk about Grok and using that, but it makes sense because that is the news, and a lot of times, Twitter has a lot of the updated stuff. That's really fascinating. I'm going to have to test that because I have not even gone down the Grok
Oh man,
hole in the ground. So
so incredible. It's so of the moment. You can ask it anything and anything, even emerging news stories that are unfolding. You can say, "What's your
that's
take on
cool.
this?" And it will have a take. I've been using it during we've got the Euro soccer, as I think you'd call it over here. We've obviously got the Olympics. If something is changing in like a sporting event, I can say, "What does this mean?" Like I can't remember what it was. I was watching something like. I think I was watching it was one of the Olympic events, and I didn't understand. It might have been rowing. I didn't understand how they all got through and eventually got the medal. So I said, what does this mean that this has happened? And it was able to sort of unfold it for me.
That is really cool. Chris says, "I'd like to subscribe to your AI rubbish channel, please." So that's funny. So, yeah. Yeah, that's hilarious. And then like Gary, so we got some people chiming in like how they using it. Like Tech Troublemaker saying I use ChatGPT nearly every day for a lot of stuff I do on YouTube. Gary Stockton says, yeah, me too. The models are so incredible now, just about for any task. And one of the things that I want to ask you a question about, because one of your podcast episodes, it was a lady, and I forget her name, but she was a big podcaster, and she was using AI for a lot of stuff. And she was actually running it through this I think it was open source something, but it was giving her audience sentiment on how her podcast was coming through, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. So do you use AI to analyze like audience engagement and feedback on your videos, or are there any tools that you use actually with the stats of the videos to kind of inform you on what you need to do next for your next video?
That's a really cool question. So I think that was Steph Fuccio, who was on the show. She's AI podcast consultant, and she was using a tool from Assembly AI. I think it's their Universal One transcription model. It's pretty cool. Most people, or most benchmarks, sorry, I should say, online are suggesting that it's even slightly better than OpenAI's Whisper. So it's a pretty good transcription tool. And like you mentioned, Jeff, it's got sentiment analysis, so I can say this percentage is positive, this percentage is negative, etc. I haven't played with it extremely in detail myself, but I know that's very interesting. You were specifically asking me though, do I use any tools to help me see the audience sentiment and how they're doing? So I use the standard stuff that you'd expect. Like I go into YouTube Studio and I look through the analytics and I try to see, where people are coming from. I'm particularly interested in where people are paying attention. And okay, so AI can assist in this. I find it more helpful in long form content. Yes, it's great with my AI channel where I'm doing a tool or I'm doing a weekly roundup. Often I'll see the peaks at, when I'm talking about a new tool. So it'll go up, down, down like that. But when I'm doing a podcast like this, like maybe 20 minutes or half an hour long, I like to go back and look at where the attention points are. And this is really interesting because I'll find the points where the audience were like, that was an interesting point. Now, this is where I'll use AI. So I'll download a transcript of that podcast episode we created. I try and have it speaker labeled as well. Actually, Premiere Pro will do that for me. So that's the editor I use to edit the video and audio, and it will give me a transcript with speaker labels. And then after a while, I will look back through at the YouTube Studio and I'll find those attention peaks, and then I'll mark them out in the transcript, and then I'll copy and paste them into something like ChatGPT or Claude, and I'll say, right, these are 3 really important points from a podcast, like these really grabbed attention. Create me 3 very short headlines or whatever, or promotional materials based around this, so I can have social media posts, etc., ways to promote what was said on the show. But more importantly, and something I've really found helpful for optimization, is thumbnail testing. So on YouTube, as you know, I think most people now, if they have a verified account, they can upload 3 different thumbnails and test them. So I will then, for the podcast, I put text, I put a quote on there. So I will then try and optimize those quotes based on attention paid. So obviously I have to upload a thumbnail initially, but then later on I can go back and optimize those thumbnails and split test them to see what exactly is working. And that's pretty incredible. And YouTube doesn't quite optimized for click-through rate, so it's not looking to get you the most clicks, but it's looking to get you the most watch time.
Right.
So it's where your thumbnail matches up with the audience's expectation, and you've got that beautiful perfect storm, and people hang around for longer. And I've found actually split testing thumbnails brings me significantly different watch time, and it's very, very interesting to play around with that.
And I think you mentioned on Mike Stelzner's podcast that you're using Mr. Beast's new analytics tool to kind of help find some of the, the right thumbnails and quotes and stuff that you go down. Okay. I wanted to double check that. So cool.
Yeah.
That's very interesting. We, Jeff and I participated. Jeff puts on a paid mastermind, and we met yesterday, but I shared a link with all the gents in there to this new website I found called There's an AI for That. And I was just scrolling through it, and, it's separated by, there's an AI for audio, for video. You can type in and search and all that stuff. And as I was scrolling, I was like, okay. And then last week, here were the ones I'm like, oh my God, I scrolled through like 200 AIs
Right.
that were brand new just this week. So it's always changing. There's always something new. I like, Mike, how you said some of them are crap, some of them are great. You got to test to find out, right? All of that. And I think we've talked a lot about how AI can help in the creation, the summarization, the getting key points from what we've done. But when it comes to the actual editing and the production process, Mike, are there any AI tools that you really, really find useful when it comes to actual production and then editing once you have that produced out?
Yeah, I know a lot of people like to use tools such as, I think there's a tool called Glean, which one of the guests on my show mentioned, and it can automate the editing of the video and audio in Premiere Pro, for instance. I think that's Glean, Glean AI. I haven't used that myself, and actually, when I'm actually editing my show, I tend to stay away from AI. And I know this is going to sound counterintuitive and strange. Obviously, I'm experienced in audio and video editing, so I kind of know what I'm doing. And I've played around with tools similar to that, not that one specifically, but these tools that do auto cuts and auto edits and stuff like that. Even, a tool I use all the time and I advocate for is Riverside FM. I will record podcasts in there. And there's a load of AI tools in there to like cut out silences and filler words and stuff like that. But I personally, as an editor who's basically done it all my life, as you mentioned at the start of the show, working in radio, I'm very specific. And I know like 90% of the audience might not notice that, but I'm just like, I watch AI do cuts and I'm like, no, I don't like that. That's not cool. That's not good. I don't like that. For me, for the 5%, it's like, it's not right. And I actually think, yes, it might take me a little bit longer, but as we all are when we do something again and again, once I get on that kind of flywheel of doing it every week, I just sit there in Premiere and I don't even necessarily have to play the words back. I just skip through and I'm like, right. That's a breath. That's that, that's this, cut that. I had been using in the earlier days AI to help me as an editor to cut stuff out of a podcast. So I don't do a show like this one where it's live. Everything that's said just goes out there. Right. I will actually chop to try and squeeze all the value in. And I have asked AI, I've put transcripts of that, like we might go for 30 minutes and I might say, help me cut this down to just like the important stuff. And if we go on a tangent, tell me about it. And it kept saying that all the bits I said in between the guests, the filler bits where you give them to think and you tell a story, it was saying that's rubbish, cut that out. And I'm like, hang on, I don't like this AI. It's telling me just cut my stuff out. So this is maybe it's right. Actually, it's probably right. It's like, Mike, you're talking nonsense. Stop. Just shut up and let your guest speak.
Well, Chris Stone and I have this talk a lot because we've tried a lot of the tools, and there's a son like Opus and Mimeo and all this stuff. I still don't think they're there yet. Like as an editor, I think you and I both, Mike, I started, I think I had Premiere 2. Like I've been doing video editing for a long time because I'm old. And one of the things is I like to use like Descript has their AI Underlord, which I really like. And it gets me most of the way there. Like it finds those clips. It's not perfect and I need to extend them or trim them or whatever, but it still saves time as a tool. Now, the creative stuff is me picking and changing and moving stuff around for the shorts or whatever. So I think that's helpful. But it's still, and I don't think it probably won't ever be one button click and you've got 20 shorts done out of your show. I just don't think that's, if it happens, then I still think having your finger on it is going to be what's super important to grow your audience. But that being said, I want to kind of segue into that because I want to talk about AI in the creative process. Yeah.
I'd love to pick up on your comment on Opus. So I agree with you. So I'm a signed up member of Opus Clip, and I think there's a lot of work involved with putting those shorts together. Once it's isolated, it's right, here are your 20 clips. Like, I've been in there, I'm like, actually, this is a job I could probably outsource, because I'm going through, I'm like, right, cut that bit, like tidy that up, and generate B-roll, and then, oh no, that B-roll looks weird, let's generate again. And I'm like, this is, until it spits out 20 clips and you can just go schedule.
Right.
Exactly. It's still taking time, isn't it?
Because I go the step further into Script. I get those clips, and then you can export the scripts into Premiere. So if I want to really finesse them, I can open it as an XML file, the Premiere thing, and I have all my tracks, and so I'm actually able to split it down. But then the finessing still happens a lot of times in Premiere. And I know Chris Stone does that. Gary had a great comment. He says, one thing into Script I find frustrating. I can't to see the tracks for my video in the multicam edit. Hey, Gary, let's get on a call, because I think I can show you and help you out with some of this stuff. And I know you're in my course, so I'll make a little video for that, because I think I can help you out with that. But anyway, it's always, and the other thing, it's always changing. Like, Opus is getting better from when I tried it, I'm sure. So is Descript. So anyway, and then Katie says she likes CapCut much better for Opus in creating better clips. So, it's just, there's so much stuff everywhere. It's so fun to nerd out about this stuff, but you've got to find the process for you. On this note of, creativity, like, a lot of people and a lot of creators, and it was the same way when Canva came out. All the designers were in an uproar. This is wrong, And the same way with AI, people are going, it's killing creativity. I see it as a tool to help me be more creative. And I want to kind of dive into this with you, because you know all the tools, Mike. You're in it. Your channel's all about it. So let's talk about ways AI can assist creators in brainstorming and developing some new content ideas. Kind of the blank page syndrome is like what I like to call it. So what have you found helpful in that way?
That's a really good question, and I think there's quite a lot to unpack from it. So blank page syndrome. Yeah, definitely. As creators, I think we all suffer from that moment where we just don't know what to say. We don't know what to talk about. So let me share from my own experience. I mean, even this new channel I have, sometimes I think, what am I going to talk about this week? How am I going to make something that's interesting and exciting? So it can be quite difficult sometimes to actually come up with those ideas. One of the ways is just simply to go to your favorite language model like ChatGPT or Claude and say, give me a few ideas based around my channel, feed in the information from the channel. I suppose that's a very sort of basics way of doing it. Another way, if you've already got some content, is to feed in the content you've previously done as like custom instructions and say, all right, these are the kind of videos I've done. These are my last 10 videos. Give me an idea for the next 5. But I do find that AI is still very fluffy and generic. It's pulling from training data that is, trained on various different sources, which may not be your voice and style. So I find stylistically it's hard, especially when it'll look at my channel and it'll say 5 mind-blowing tools to enhance your creative flow, or 7 game changers that everyone should use in their video production. I'm like, I don't talk like that. It's like, I don't say game changers. Right. So, and often they're not game changers, they're just good tools. So so yes, that can help you get started. But again, I'm going to stress, and I think it's really important, the human should come into the process with something. You can't just say, I run an AI channel, give me some ideas. It's much better if you can be more nuanced than that and really tell it what you want. And it's like having the best intern you'll ever have. You just give it the instructions, and the more information you give it, the more you will get back, because AI is so good at mirroring right back to you what you've asked for. So the more you ask for and the more detailed you can be, the better. And I think one of the greatest things with context windows, now they're so big, you can feed in a lot of data and get more out. So in the early days, you'd feed in an article and it'd be like out of tokens, can't do this, too large. But now you could probably feed in the transcript of your last 5 or 10 videos and say, this is the way I talk, this is what I've done the last 10 videos, now give me some ideas and speak in the style of these transcripts. So that's how I would dial it in further.
Yeah, I think that's really important. And the other thing is, before Connor, you ask your question, is that I think a lot of times, and I was guilty of this, when I first started, I was using AI for everything. I delved and, dived into all those words that AI used, and I was using it for my email newsletter. Well, now I don't do any of that for my newsletter. I want the newsletter to be me, and I want people to know it's not AI. So my newsletters are a little wacky, so people know that they're not AI at all. And I think that you have to sometimes zig when you can zag. Like, yes, use AI to speed up your ideation and help you come up maybe with a logo and all that stuff. But when you're making a direct contact or you're trying to engage with your audience, it's got to be you. Like, I don't see Mike ever just going and doing an AI avatar of you that you just type and it automatically, has your mouth move realistically. I don't think I'll ever see that on your channel. Maybe I'm wrong.
Mark Zuckerberg wants to make that happen.
I know.
He wants to make all the creators have their own avatars trained on their data. So who knows?
Maybe. But my thing is like, that's why I love this live show, is because I will stumble over my words. I will say things wrong. But AI can't copy this right now, right? It can't. And that's what I like about live video. And I think that touch point is super, super important. But Connor, go ahead with your question.
Well, I think, we talk about a great thing, and Mike, you brought up a great thing about AI being a great intern, but then at the same time, other AI tools where you feel like, well, this is giving me so much, I almost need to outsource this using this AI tool, right, so I don't have to worry about it, right? So often I think whenever we get a new shiny tool, we spend so much time learning it and trying to maximize it that we wasted a bunch of time when we could have just reoriented our processes in a certain way. So it's more, I think, for AI is giving me more useful time management, right, than taking away time from things that I actually should be focusing on, because it's very easy to get distracted. So when it comes to like just the audio and the video production, when you have a creator and a solo creator who's just starting their YouTube channel or their podcast or something like that, how do you think AI can enhance their production? I guess from the creation of an idea to actually recording something, especially when they have super, super limited resources to start with.
Yeah, I like what you said there, Connor, about being distracted by all the shiny tools. It's so easy to do so. But if a creator wants to get started with AI, from start to finish, making something great, I would say go ahead, pull in the sources of what you're going to talk about. So for instance, for me, if I wanted to talk about a microphone, I might go to 3 or 4 different websites. Actually, I might not even do that. In the past, I would have gone to 3 or 4 different websites, taken a look at what was said, manually make notes about the microphone, like pull out the interesting parts, the unique parts of that microphone and make my own list. In the past, I might have gone and copy and pasted to ChatGPT and said, tell me the interesting stuff. Another tool that's really good if you're a creator and you want to get the lowdown on things, I use a lot of Perplexity. I'm sure you guys do, more so than Google now for doing research. In fact, it's so good that they've been through, I think, a few legal cases recently about like scraping stuff from the internet. Right. But now they're like, but don't worry, we're going to pay people who make this stuff. So we'll see where that ends up. Right. Yeah. But Perplexity is just incredible. So I'd say actually scrap everything I've said about ChatGPT and custom instructions. Go to Perplexity. Where Perplexity really shines is if you want something specific. So you say, I want to know everything about the Neumann U87 microphone. And then it will tell you everything about that. It will pull in from various different sources. And then you'll be like, okay, now tell me the best features about this microphone for a content creator. And it will go and further refine it. And it's that is a really cool source of inspiration. And often I'll end up, once it's given me some basics, my last prompt to it will be now make that into 4 or 5 good bullet points, that I can put up on my prompter, and it will give me the info that I need. And that has helped me tremendously, especially when I'm talking about tools and I want accurate information. And obviously we know ChatGPT, Claude can hallucinate, some of the other models can, but Perplexity generally tries to take its information and cite where it's got the source from. So you can be a little more confident with that. But it's just an incredible tool, Perplexity. It's changing the way, just everything now. I just have the app on my phone, and if I have any question, I just straight away I go there and I say, help me with that. So yeah, this is a good way to get started. And then going into putting out the content, I'd say, hit record, get it all laid down. I mean, like you say, Jeff, get it into something like Descript, which has its overlord, and then you can stop recording. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think overlord will go through. It'll tidy things up. If you do a retake, it might be able to cut those retakes out and give you a nice, clean, polished thing. So you might have been recording for 30 minutes and you might get something that's down to 4 minutes once you're done with it.
Right.
And then I think, again, Overlord can do things like generate, shorts with captions that animate and things like that.
Yeah.
You can output all of that stuff. And I think, we'll have something like that as a bigger AGI assistant that will just assist us in the future.
Yeah, and it's actually Descript's Underlord, because Overlord's too scary.
That's the one.
That's what they call the Underlord. Yeah, because it's Overlord. Overlord is too dang scary. So Gary says he likes AI for drafting an outline for an article or video, and then we fill in the rest in our own voice. And yeah, I want to talk, when we talk about the future, I want to bring up Gary's comment. I'll bring this up, Gary, when we kind of go into the future of AI. But I wanted, on your point about drafting an outline, is there anything that you can think of, Mike, where creators really need to watch out with their using AI? I mean, I think we've kind of talked about don't just copy and paste, because you're going to have to rewrite some of the stuff. But are there any other pitfalls or challenges that you see or you want to warn creators about not to use AI or how not to use it?
Yeah, there's plenty. So let's talk about hallucinations. Let's talk about fact checking. Let's talk about commercially safe content. Those are three pillars I think creators should watch out for. So everyone knows that AI can hallucinate. So, don't go to, I think it was Google that had the big outrage when they said you should eat rocks for your health and put Glean made cheese into pizza and stuff like that.
Right.
It can do some terrible things, and if you repeat word for word, then you're in trouble. So fact check stuff. If ChatGPT says something, use Google and check it, and then go to Perplexity and double check it, triple check it. There are ways these AI creators are trying to fix that. I think Google on their Gemini models did have, maybe still does have, a fact check thing where it'll highlight things in red it thinks might be false or need checking, and highlight things in green where it's like, yeah, this is definitely good information. So they're trying to fix the hallucination problem, but it's definitely not an easy one to do. So fact check as much as you can. And then as creators, I think we should be very aware of using generated content that's commercially safe. Now, I know this is super important to like agencies and, Fortune 500 companies that absolutely cannot afford to put anything out there that, might be questionable in terms of legality. So creators may care a little less about that, especially when we're at the start of our journeys, and we're just kind of trying to get stuff. And, back in the day, we might have thought it's okay to go to the Google image search and type in and say, oh, that image looks good, I'll put it in my blog post. And then you get like a notification from like, I don't know, Reuters or the Associated Press saying, that's ours.
It's expensive too. I've seen some people get spanked with that stuff. It's yeah.
Okay. So that's not good. And then in terms of commercially safe, Mid-Journey, what was it trained on? I know we all love to use it. Could it be a problem in the future? Maybe it won't be, but maybe it will. How much level of risk are you open to there? Adobe are really doing their best to do things. Well, they are doing things the right way. They use the word commercially safe everywhere you see the word Firefly. So you can be sort of guaranteed that this is going to be good. It's backed by Adobe. I know other companies like OpenAI have said, if anything DALL-E produces is legally questioned, we'll back you up. I think they said that last year in their November conference. So I guess that still stands. But again, double check these things. Suno and Udio, I think we briefly might have touched on before we hit record actually, but the audio music generators, really, really good, incredible technology, clearly trained on copyright material and going through, legal cases right now, I think, with Warner, with Sony, with Universal. We'll see where that ends up. My school of thought on this is that I think these big companies that are doing these projects, they're trying to do something really impressive so that we all go, wow. And then they're asking for forgiveness, and let's see what courts decide on that. But
and I think the music companies are upset because they're not getting paid.
Yeah.
I think if they got paid for being trained, they'd be fine with it. Really,
there's so much to argue about here, isn't there? Because this is how we learn as humans. We listen to something by Eric Clapton, and then we go, I want to play that on the guitar too, and then we listen to his song over and over again, and then we get the idea, and then we start playing. So we are training each other. Like that. So we'll see where that goes. But I think there's two different ways of doing this, aren't there? So there's the Udio and the Suno way, and then there's Stability AI, which have got stable audio, and they've been, again, very clear. We've trained this on a licensed library, which you can use, and all the other stuff. I think they did a similar sound effects generator as well. And they said everything we fed into this is Creative Commons 0, which means you can use and remix without the need for attribution. So there is really clear as a bell stuff like that. But in all honesty, if you use stable audio, or you use Udio, stable audio is comparatively rubbish compared to Udio.
Right. It really is.
So what are you going to do?
Yes.
When I'll preface the word rubbish, it's great for background music on YouTube videos. It's great for like stock music and stuff like that. But if you want to create a hit song or something really insane that people are going to love, Udio and Suno is the place for that, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. George even said it's amazing. I found that Udio sounds better to me than Suno, but it's an arms race right now. To play with, but they give you free credit. So if you want to test it out, go there and go. Chris is he's it's hard to get him tell his opinion, but Suno is trash, is what. So
you know what the crazy thing is, Jeff and Connor, about Udio. So I've used this quite a bit myself, and I've also paid for the paid account. They have an audio upload feature, and I know you guys are aware, but my background is from an audio production company.
Right.
We make jingles and things like that. So we've got a lot of stock music that belongs to us. So it's our copyright. And a lot of them are 30-second pieces, which can be like sung over. So traditionally, a client would come to us, they'd ask for a 30-second piece of music, and at the end, maybe the name of their podcast sung along with their tagline, right? So now what you can do is you can take the first 15 seconds of that music track, upload it to Udio, type in the lyrics, and it will throw you back that jingle with a professional singer singing. And now here's the question, because it's our copyright, so that's our music, and because vocals are slightly different to music in terms of copyright laws, where do we land with that?
Oh, gosh. Yeah.
Same with the voice, and generative voice, copywriting of the voice is extremely hard. We've seen Scarlett Johansson go through the whole case with OpenAI and Sam Altman, and she won't be the last. A lot of the famous voice artists, are able to fight their battle. But I know personally some really well-known voiceover artists in the trade who have worked for years. They've been on all the famous TV shows and Saturday night specials and stuff. So you wouldn't know them if you saw them on the street, but if they open their mouth, you'd be like, oh,
yeah.
It's like people like that are like, there has been a lot of what's the word for it? Kind of apathy in the voiceover industry recently, from my perspective, because people are just like, well, it's time to find a new job, so there is kind of a sad side to this AI where people are thinking that.
Yeah, we had Jody Krangle on a couple weeks ago, and she's the voiceover artist, and we were talking about that a little bit. One of the things too is like with the last kind of thing with Udio and Suno is now, I just saw last week, or I think maybe it was yesterday, that you can now download stems from your music. So we could actually have a live singer singing to an AI background now because of the ability to do that, which blows my mind. Like, this stuff is moving at the speed of light. It is just crazy. Absolutely. So On that note, real quick, I want. Okay, go ahead.
I was going to say is that yes, it's great that UDO can do that, but there are local models you can run on your own computer that can do stem separation.
Right.
So many companies have done this. Audacity created plugins that are PC only that do that. Logic in their latest 11 update have a stem separator baked in, and anyone who purchased Logic 10 for $199 got access to that for free. And there's another open source project called Ultimate Vocal Remover that works on every platform. You download it, you pull the Ethernet cable out or switch your Wi-Fi off, and it will do the stem separation on device. It's nuts.
Yeah, it's just so crazy. Anyway, I want to give a shout out to somebody who's always also going and innovating is our friends at Ecamm. They sponsored the show. Thank you for them for doing that. Ecamm.com/Jeff saves 15% on your purchase if you use the code Jeff15. They're amazing. Once again, I mentioned that their camp is coming up. They are sold out, but you can have a chance to win at jeffc.com/win. Go there and enter to have a chance to win a free ticket. So let's talk. We've kind of dived into it already, but the future of AI. We talked about the music stuff. What do you put on your little wizard cap there, Mike, and tell us where you see the role of AI evolving in the content creation landscape in, let's say, the next year?
So the next year is going to be interesting. So obviously, as we've all seen, it's incredibly difficult to predict the future. Even the high level CEOs like Sam Altman, like I just can't tell you what's coming because I just don't know, kind of thing. I'm sure like people like that do have a good idea and already are in talks as to where this is all going. In the next year, things are just going to get better. So I think, again, to reference Sam Altman, he's always said when you build something on OpenAI's API, don't try and do something we could do, essentially. Just build something interesting and assume that the models are only going to get better. And if you work with that in mind, what was really difficult in, one case may become easy in the future. So everything is going to get easier, is going to get better and more dialed in. And I think ultimately beyond the year, hopefully beyond the year, otherwise I've really got to find a new job, is that we will be replaced as creators. And I want to say that now, on the record now, this technology is here to make content creation optional. And I don't want people to be as scared about that as it sounds. Content creation will be optional. Meaning that everyone who considers themselves a content creator today, and I think Mark Zuckerberg said at least 200 million people on his platform consider themselves content creators. So that's a lot of people. We will filter. I think we will filter down, and we will have the people that really want to do this still doing it. And I think that in the maybe the beyond 1 year future, we will have people creating AI avatars of themselves that can answer questions 24/7. And providing you can dial that in and say, only talk about this subject, I've got no problem with having an AI Mike Russell who can answer all of your audio questions. So that's what I've been known for over a decade now. Right. So I'd be happy to create a clone of me, with permissions. I don't know how the models will work. Maybe you'll get a little bit of payment, like Google AdSense or something for every question that's answered and upvoted or whatever that is. But I think that would be incredible. And then you can just say, just AI Mike can talk about, audio. He can talk about video. But if someone asks how to make an omelet, don't answer.
Yeah.
Because I don't do omelets.
Well, it's funny because, here in the States, Olympic coverage is through NBC, one of our channels, and Peacock, their streaming service. You can get AI Al Michaels. Al Michaels, a legendary American sports commentator, to recap the day's events based on your needs. So you can say, AI Al Michaels, I want basketball, I want gymnastics, and I want swimming. And he'll give you a recap in Al Michaels' iconic voice. Of course, I don't think Al Michaels could do you believe in miracles? Yes. But he can tell you if Katie Ledecky won in the 1500 freestyle, which I'm sure she did. So I think that there's so much with all of that, but it also brings up a great point that Gary brought up a couple of questions back. He says the downside to all of this is 0 clicks in search results for your niche. Is resistance to AI futile? And I think to piggyback off of that too, we hear more things like, whether it's Google AI overview, whether it's, Sam Altman and OpenAI saying we have AI, what's it called? Search
Search.
GPT,
Yeah.
right? Search
It's coming.
GPT.
It's coming.
So those things. So the futility of it all. I mean, Mike, it's. I think you would agree. We have to embrace it rather than just cast it aside.
Yeah, we definitely do. And we need to think, where can we be as human beings that's still valuable? So definitely it's the end of text-based content in a way, I suppose. Is that okay to make that as a statement? Because like you've just said there, Connor, we've got Search GPT, we've got Google's search overview, where it'll give you a little box at the top and highlight the important piece. I mean, to a certain extent, I would say, live on YouTube, create video, because you get the real human interaction, albeit over the internet. But then Google also has something where it will skip just to the point in the video. So if you want to know,
Right.
how to change an inner tube, you'll do that, and it'll be like, right, watch 1:14 to 1:28. That's where the creator covers it, rather than the whole 5-minute video. Hey guys, welcome to the show. Remember to like and subscribe. It just gets to the content. So we're going to be forced to be more specific. But I think people also still seek out that real human interaction and that knowledge that they are connecting with a real human. And again, another one of my favorite quotes coming from Mark Zuckerberg is, we are going to have potentially holographic versions of ourselves. And imagine what it will feel like when we will be able to interact with people and we will be able to really, truly, genuinely feel like they're in the room with us. And I don't think we're too far away from that happening. In fact, it would be incredible to have an experience where we're doing this show now, and I really genuinely felt that you guys were here in the room with me. That would be incredible. It's just something that, that's why we go to conferences, isn't it? Because at the moment, you can't really replace that experience.
And I don't know if you've played with the Apple Vision Pro yet. I know it just went over to the UK. So I have one. And when you get yours, Mike, we need to connect and do some videos with that. Because once you try it on, you'll get one. I know you, and you will. And one of the things is it's still a little uncanny valley doing the the personas they have, but the memories that you can take now, and the new phone's going to come out. The one right now can take the spatial videos now. There is nothing like seeing that, because it feels like you're there. It's very Harry Potter pensive kind of thing, and you can't say it with words until you've actually strapped it on and done it. Like, I have some videos of my dog that I've taken. I wish I would have had this when my kids were little, to be able to record this stuff. So what you're saying, I think it's on its way. Like, it's coming. Like, they're working on that stuff. So I think it's an exciting time. I do want to double down on that. I think the more AI happens, and the more we don't trust the written word, we know maybe it's created for AI, that people are going to pay to be in Mike Russell's group, where he teaches me about audio, but it's real, and I can ask him questions in real time, and it's Mike. So I think that's going to go up for creators if they're going to jump on that opportunity. That's just my 2 cents. So, Connor, did you have a question? Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I would just also say, like, there's so much, for better or worse, that we as humans, we appreciate others' opinions that we trust. And I don't know how necessarily people will appreciate the opinion of a third party, like a Google, like an OpenAI, that is sourcing something from who knows where, right? So I don't know. That's what I always go back to as well. Like, if you're able to still find the people and they can trust you, your opinion becomes valid, and you're also including facts and reasoning and all that stuff to back up your opinion. And there's so much coming, of course, whether it's, what Jeff was talking about with the Vision Pro, or all these new tools that happen every single day. But like, Mike, upcoming AI advancements, what are you just excited about? And let's just say, as a human being, when it comes to the AI advancements, what are you looking forward to?
So much, Connor. So much. I mean, yeah, just that being in the room together thing. I think that's going to be incredible. The like Jeff, like you mentioned, the Apple Vision Pro, Meta Quest. Actually, when I was last in the US, I went into Best Buy and I put one on my head, and I was like, "This is nuts!" And the whole store melted away, and I went into this virtual reality world. So this is definitely exciting. It's only going to get more realistic. It'll also be succinct. So I think we've spoken a lot on this show over the course of the last sort of hour or so about the need for experts and real humans that can answer in a certain way. One thing I'd throw into that is, when ChatGPT, first hit the scene, early 2023, late 2022, I had a bit of an existential crisis because, while I have a lot of knowledge and a lot of years working in audio editing tools, I was asking ChatGPT in the early days, how would you do this? If I want to compress a voice, what settings how would you do it? And it was coming up with techniques that were better than me. I was like, that's way more efficient. It's like, what's going on here? So there is a chance for AI to sort of overtake us and give us just the info we need. Because I think as humans, we tend to, sometimes we beat around the bush a lot, and we're like, well, you need to use this, and then why don't you use this tool, and then use the heart limiter as well, and then do an overall mastering effect and stuff. And ChatGPT is like, no, just do this, this, and this. And I'm like, actually, you know what? It's not a bad idea. I'm excited about it all. I love the rate of development. I love the fact that there is a big battle right now between the big companies, Microsoft, Google, Amazon, and they are throwing out model after model. And there's a lot of closed source technology. So there's GPT-4o, GPT-4o Mini presently. There's Anthropic's Claude 3.5 Sonnet. Gemini, I think they just released some new smaller models. Gemma 2 recently came out. And there's the big battle there with open source. So open source, trying to keep things as open as possible. And I love the fact that we're getting so much technology. In fact, in the last couple of weeks on my AI tools roundups, I've covered a lot of Chinese video makers, text to video generators, because they seem to be coming out at a rate of knots. There's Vidu, everyone's been talking about Kling as well. Right. And we're still waiting for OpenAI to say, here's Sora. And I think now we've seen these models where we're like, oh, great, but we've got Luma's Dream Machine and everything else. So it just keeps things fresh. It keeps things coming. And I think my final advice on that is just don't get overwhelmed. Try and find the good tools and use what you need to and make workflows and make templates for your AI as well to I think, like you touched on at the start, Jeff, about, if you're creating a thumbnail or an image or something, give it your voice, give it your style, so you can dial things in and it doesn't just look like a random mid-journey generation with stars floating around. And
Nazim says he's using Midjourney to create inspiration boards for architectural designs, which is very, very cool. So thanks, Nazim. It's great to see you here. Last question, Mike. This is kind of out of left field, but I was thinking about it when you were talking about your roundup that you do every week. You run Music Radio Creative, right? That's a whole business, and you're doing all this stuff for audio and stuff, and you now have this channel. How do you find time to do all this research, play with all these tools? Do you have okay, today's my AI day? I mean, I really am interested in your process because your output is phenomenal, and you still do all your other stuff. So what does your day look like? How do you do all the stuff that you do? Because I'm really fascinated about that.
That's a great question, and there's no magic. I am definitely not superhuman. I don't wear a cape or anything like that. The very simple answer to your question, Jeff, is I have an amazing human being next to me as a business partner, as a friend, as a wife, as everything else. Her name is Isabella, and it's all down to her because she's an amazing business brain behind our, like you mentioned, our audio business, Music Radio Creative. So she'll look after a lot of the day-to-day running of that, the management of a lot of our talent and bits like that. She really is the glue that keeps things together. And then, like you say, yes, I think it's important to have structure. Some days I leave free and open, but some days are extremely structured. So I'll have, certain days where it's non-negotiable. I know I'm filming at this time. And it's also, I find for me, and I know every creator is different, But if I don't have like hard marks in the week where something really has to be done, I might not do it at all. So things like weekly roundup right now, this is great to have this in my diary because I have to get that out. And I often find that, again, some weeks you've really got it, haven't you? I'm speaking for myself here, and things work, things flow, and you're like, yeah, this idea is great. Oh, I'm going to do this and that and the other. And then other weeks you're just like, yeah, blank page syndrome. Where is everything?
Right.
And I often find like when I go away, when I travel, not so much to conferences because sometimes I get inspired from those. But like if I go on a 1 week holiday, maybe I can recover for it. But if you put me in the south of Italy for 2 weeks with gelato and pizza, I'll be recovering from that for 2 weeks. So at least I know I come back from Italy, I have to do that weekly roundup on Friday. It's like, it's having structure for the days, and also I'm grateful to have a really great business partner in life. So.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, Mike, thank you so much for your time today. This has been amazing. I was so excited to have you on. We'll have to do it again soon. But tell everybody where they can find you, your channels, everything that has to do with Mr. Mike Russell.
Absolutely. So thanks, Jeff and Connor, for having me on. You can just type my name in. Most places, YouTube especially, Mike Russell will generally find you. If there's too much audio when you type my name in and you just want the AI stuff, as we've spoken about during this show, just look for Creator Magic. That's Creator Magic. Look for that on YouTube. Sign up for the weekly AI tools email updates, and I'll put the top 3 AI tools you need this week in your inbox.
That's awesome. Make sure you guys sign up for that. Make sure you subscribe, like and subscribe his channel, because seriously, he's got some great stuff out there. Gary says, great show this week, guys. Well, thank you so much, Gary. You always are such a great supporter of the show. Connor Brown, where can people find out about the amazing, unsinkable Connor Brown?
You can find more about me at vacationkingdoms.com and at Vacation Kingdoms across the social medias. Parting piece of advice for you, Jeff, when you go to eventually scan yourself for your hologram, make sure you're wearing pants.
Well, are you sure? Because that wouldn't be really me. It wouldn't be me. I'm just saying. Okay. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you guys next week. Bye, everybody. Have a great one.